you're not going to hang around some of the same folk that you used to hang around when you get serious with God, because when you go around them, they bring you down as opposed to you bringing them up. So you sorrow because you have to lose a close friendship. You sorrow because you have to lose the closeness that you may have with your mother or mother-in-law. And this is what Jesus said in Matthew 10, 30 through 36. He says, "Do not suppose that I have come to bring peace on the earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. I have come to turn a man against his father, a father against her mother, or a daughter against her mother, a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies will be members of his own household." Oh, when you get serious about God, you put some people down, and when you put some folk down, they cause sorrow because you lose some things, or you should lose some things. So I pose the question: Do you have a true Christianity? Oh, are you sorrowing because you lost a close relationship that you once had? Many times Christians and preachers and teachers don't tell you that if you're in a relationship and one person gets serious and on fire with God, and the other person in the relationship is not serious and on fire with God, it causes a sword. It causes a split, because one person want to spend their time at the house of the Lord, and the other person want to spend their time away from the house of the Lord. One person wants to be around other Christian folk who believe the same thing, and the other person want to hang around their buddies and get full. And it causes a split, and it causes a sword. Yeah. And that's why many new Christians, they're in danger of losing their marriage relationship, because one person is on fire for the Lord and the other don't want to have anything to do with God. And that's why God doesn't like Christians to be unequally yoked together with unbelievers, because if they are, then that Christian will have this bruise mark of suffering or sorrow. And you have to, and this text goes on to say that you must put Christ first in Matthew 10. He says, before your mama, before your daddy, before your husband, before your wife, you have to be like Joshua and say, as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord, and we're not going to take a vote about it. Parents, back in the older days, it used to be better than that. The parents used to make their children go to church.
That's right.
They didn't give them a choice. You in my household, you're going to have to go to church. Yeah. Hello? As for me and my house. And if you make a stand like that, you will have some sorrows, because some people are not going to be able to go the places that you need to go. Yeah. And we lose some people. That's what happens with a church that is dynamic and get on fire with the things of God and get serious about the things of God and share the social club nature of church and began to go out and reach people for the gospel of Jesus Christ. Some folk will look back and say, well, we used to be a small knit group of people, but now we got everybody coming to our church. And they sorrow. So if you're a true Christian, what is the proof? Can I see the marks of sorrow in your life? Can I see the marks of sorrow? Also, we're talking about tonight's the bruise marks of suffering. The text says in 33, he was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrow and familiar with suffering. Like one from whom men hid their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. It says that he was familiar with suffering. I pose the question tonight, have you suffered for your faith? Have you suffered for your faith? Or let me pose this question, are you willing to suffer for your faith?
Yeah.
In America, we really, Christians really don't really have to suffer. You're not going to be killed for believing in Christ, but there are some countries around the world where to believe in Christ, you could lose your life.
That's right.
There's some parts around the world today that have what is called the underground church. And they have to meet in secret.
Right.
Here in America, we can meet in public. We can say we meet every Sunday at 11 o'clock. In another country where they're hostile to Christians, people are really losing their lives for what they believe. And they suffer for it. John Scott says this, if the first mark of true and living church is love, the second mark is suffering. The one is naturally consequence of the other. A willingness to suffer proves the genuineness of love. Willing to suffer. Are you willing to suffer for Christ? Are you willing to suffer? I remember that incident where the kids, out at the kids where they had the school shooting. And the shooter put the gun in one young lady's face and dared her to believe, do you believe in Christ? Evidently she was known around the school as a Christian. Evidently she had been bold for what she believed. And this mad young boy put a gun in her face and dared her to show her true marks of genuine faith. And she would not deny Christ, and she died for what she believed. Oh, are you willing to die for what you believe? Oh, there are other people around the world who have changed the world because they were willing to die for what they believe. And it was not many. We remember 9/11, where there was a handful of men who believed in their cause, and they hijacked 4 planes, and they changed the way that we travel from that point on, because they were willing to die and willing to suffer for what they believed. They changed the world. Now, I can't get on a plane without going through some kind of metal detector. I can't go to the airport without having to take off my shoes. Yeah. I can't. Last time I traveled, they took some cologne or something that I had. Because these true people were willing to suffer and to die for what they believed. And they believe a fallacy, but we have what is real. Are you willing to show the bruise marks of suffering in your life? Oh, this is true Christianity. This is weighty Christianity. This is not the kind of Christianity that says, make me feel good.
Yeah.
It's not the kind of Christianity that's able to name it and claim it, because if we were only able to name it and claim it, it would be like that kid in the candy store and only want the sweets of life. We would never choose the suffering, but it seems that it's through the time of suffering that you really get to know God the best. That's right. See, when I was suffering at the loss of my 19-year-old cousin who died, who lost her life, I was suffering. I was sorrowing. I couldn't believe that my 19-year-old cousin, under me, that she died, and it threw my whole life off. I sorrowed and I suffered because of the loss but I noticed that 6 months later, that I had a more tender and real relationship with God because I trusted God through it all. And that's what true, genuine Christianity does, is that we trust in God on the